In the early hours of August 8, 1963, the night mail train from Glasgow to London's King's Cross station was making good time. For the driver, 58-year-old Jack Mills, and his assistant, 26-year-old David Whitby, this would be a night they would remember for the rest of their lives. Mills, especially, would always be a sick man and would die young after what was about to happen. Nearly all the train's 12 coaches were used as offices for the Royal Mail, where letters and packets were sorted into groups for different towns and cities. One special coach, designated for valuable packets, was carrying 128 bags of old banknotes on their way to the Royal Mint to be destroyed. At 3:03 a.m., near the small village of Cheddington, about 80 kilometers from London, Jack Mills suddenly saw a red signal. He immediately brought the engine to a stop. It was unusual to find a red signal here, so David Whitby got out of the engine to walk to the emergency telephone located behind a signal box. However, two men in black balaclava helmets, later identified as Buster Edwards and Bob Welch, emerged from the darkness and pushed him to the ground beside the railway. One of the men warned Whitby, "If you shout, I'll kill you." Meanwhile, two other men climbed into the engine, and Jack Mills tried to fight them off. One of the attackers struck Mills over the head. Simultaneously, other members of the gang efficiently unfastened the 10 sorting coaches at the back of the train, leaving only the front 2 coaches fastened to the engine. The valuable packets coach was one of these 2. David Whitby was brought back, and the robbers forced Jack Mills to drive the train slowly to Brodego Bridge, 600 meters down the railway. The remaining 10 coaches, along with the 70 sorters still working inside, were left behind, unaware of what was happening. At the bridge, other gang members, also wearing balaclavas and dressed in army uniforms, were waiting with Land Rovers and a 3-ton army lorry. They had tied a white marker to a stick beside the railway to indicate where they wanted the engine to stop. They broke the windows of the valuable packets coach and ordered the postal sorters to lie on the floor. The robbers passed 120 bags of old banknotes into the darkness. 15 minutes later, they handcuffed Mills and Whitby, warning them not to seek help for at least half an hour. Leaving 8 bags behind, the gang disappeared into the night. The entire robbery took 24 minutes. The stolen mailbags contained £2.5 million in old notes, equivalent to approximately £25 million today. At the time, it was the biggest robbery ever, and newspapers soon dubbed it the crime of the century. The post office quickly offered a £10,000 reward for information leading to the robbers' arrest. One of the first questions detectives sought to answer was how the robbers had changed the railway signal from go to stop. They soon discovered that the gang had covered the green go signal with a glove and used their own red light. Weeks before the robbery, The gang had purchased an old farmhouse called Leatherslade Farm, about 50 kilometers from the bridge. They went there after the robbery to count the money. Each member was set to receive more than £50,000. Initially, they planned to stay at the farmhouse for 4 days, but on the afternoon of August 8th, a radio news report caused them to change their plans. The Buckinghamshire police announced that they believed the gang was hiding within 50 kilometers of Bradego Bridge. In reality, this was a guess based on the fact that Mills and Whitby were told not to seek help for 30 minutes. The gang left Leatherslade Farm on Friday, August 9th. By the following Monday, police had discovered the farmhouse. Inside, they found post office mailbags and fingerprints of several gang members, some of whom were already known criminals. These included Bruce Reynolds, Buster Edwards, Ronnie Biggs, Bob Welch, Roy James, John Daly, and Charlie Wilson. The arrests began quickly. Roger Caudry, who had tampered with the railway signal, and Bill Boll, another gang member, were caught while trying to hide their van in Bournemouth. Suspicious of their behavior, a garage owner who happened to be a policeman's widow called the police. Officers found £78,792 in the van. More money was discovered in the following days. £30,000 was hidden in a caravan ceiling, and 4 suitcases containing cash were found in a nearby wood.
By the end of 1963, most of the gang had been caught. Charlie Wilson was arrested at his Clapham home without incident, but Roy James attempted to escape by running across rooftops before being caught. The trial began on January 24, 1964, in Aylesbury, Buckinghamshire. The authorities avoided the Old Bailey Court in London, fearing intimidation of the jury by powerful London criminals. All the accused except Roger Caudry pleaded not guilty. Despite a lack of direct eyewitnesses, the trial relied on 200 witnesses. After 2 months, all but John Daly were found guilty and sentenced to up to 30 years in prison. Some gang members escaped prison. In August 1964, Charlie Wilson escaped from Birmingham's Winson Green prison. In July 1965, Ronnie Biggs escaped from Wandsworth prison using a rope ladder thrown by accomplices. Charlie Wilson was recaptured in 1967 in Canada. Ronnie Biggs, however, fled to Australia and eventually settled in Brazil. English authorities were unable to extradite him due to Brazil's legal system. By 1993, Biggs revealed that 4 gang members were never caught. Their identities remain a mystery, known only to the robbers themselves.